as we go up a level to the NFL. And welcome in from Yahoo Sports, Frank Schwab. You can follow him on Twitter at Yahoo Schwab. And, I like what you're doing here. We're going from the bottom up, baby. Everyone talks about the glamour. Let's talk about the not so great. And your worst team is the Cardinals. And we actually had a discussion about this yesterday, Frank, regarding the Cardinals and what do they do if ultimately they are the worst team and they get that prize number 1 pick with that Kyler Murray contract. I don't necessarily need to get into that with you, but what I do want to know is where are 5 wins for the Arizona Cardinals, because their over-under's 4.5.
I'm shocked. I don't know. It's one of those things where I knew they were going to be my number 32 team as I started this countdown of previews. And as I was actually writing a preview, and you really dig into a team when I'm writing 1,800 words or whatever it is on them, I was like, wow, this team is a lot worse than I thought. They're terrible. There's nothing they do at a plus level. If you want to do an interesting exercise to tell you how bad the Cardinals are, if you just let's take Kyler Murray out of the equation, even Budda Baker, because we don't know what he's unhappy, maybe gets traded. Who at that point is the best player on the Arizona Cardinals? An actual NFL team. Who is the best player on the Arizona Cardinals? The answer is probably Marquise Brown, who is I guess, borderline number 1 receiver on most teams. It's stunning how little talent they have. And to answer I know you didn't ask me, but I'm going to answer it. If you get the number 1 pick, you draft Caleb Williams, and you don't think twice about it. You move on from Kyler Murray as fast as you can. You're not the regime that drafted him to play in Cliff Kingsbury's offense. You're not the GM that tried to save his job by signing him that contract. You have no ties to him whatsoever. You take whatever cap hit you're going to have to take, and you move on with a uber generational prospect of Caleb Williams. You don't think twice of it. And then you hope you get the number 2 pick of the draft because the Houston Texans somehow gave that to you. You take Marvin Harrison Jr., you're set up pretty well for the next few years.
See, this is why you're right. This is the worst team in the National Football League, but you're also wrong, and it's why I thought Jonathan Gannon, outside of the fact that after he gets fired, all his money's still guaranteed, and he can go be a D coordinator somewhere. This was the worst job available because they can't draft Caleb Williams. Because Mr. Bidwell, Mr. Bidwell wrote Kyler Murray a check that says he has over $100 million of his dollars guaranteed. So you know what he's going to tell Jonathan Gannon? Hey, we got the number 1 pick, then we're going to get the best trade made possible because I don't just throw money away. I didn't get to the point where I can buy the Cardinals because I just give away money. That's the problem. That's why this is a terrible job. And the worst part of it is that Kyler knows this.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, that's fair because you look at what the Carolina Panthers gave up to go get Bryce Young. Well, Caleb Williams is a better prospect. He should be anyway. We'll see what happens this season. Sometimes prospects fall off a little bit, but I anticipate Caleb Williams is going to be up near the Trevor Lawrence type of tier prospect. And you see what Carolina gave up. Some other team's going to give up more to go get Caleb Williams. So he's sticking with Kyler when he's still at a prime age, assuming he's going to be healthy, all that kind of stuff. It's feasible. That's feasible.
But you are right.
I just don't like Kyler.
Dumpster fire. I don't like him either.
Oh, my goodness.
I would have never paid him.
It's off the field. It's on the field. It's everything.
He scrubbed his Twitter. I would have told him you can scrub your Instagram and your TikTok as well. I'm going to pick up the 5th-year option on this rookie deal, and you better come show up and prove to me that you're capable of running an NFL franchise, but not to just continue to sit right there with the Cardinals because we know they stink. At 31, because I'm going to get a little pushback here, who do you have as the second to worst team in the National Football League?
And I have the Houston Texans here, and somebody's got to go there, right? Like, if you don't like the Texans at 31, that's fine. I want to hear who 31 is because this is a tough exercise when you get down here. There are reasons to like the Texans. I love DeMeco Ryans. I wrote about this. They are so lucky that back all the way in 2006, in the second round, they drafted DeMeco Ryans because that's the reason he wanted to come home. Had good feelings about the Texans, right? The Texans had no business landing a decent head coach this cycle. They'd gone through 2 one-and-dones in a row. They're another dumpster fire of an organization. But DeMeco Ryans, I'm buying stock. I think he's going to be a great coach. I like C.J. Stroud. I like some of the things they're doing. But somebody's got to be at number 31. So it's basically the Texans until proven otherwise.
Well, I think the next one's interesting as we're talking to Frank Schwab. Yahoo Schwab is where you can find him on Twitter. Take a look at his bottom 6 NFL teams. I don't think 32 or 31, in my opinion, you get much pushback. You might get a couple, nuggets here from a Houston Texans fan that's optimistic. Number 30, we're on the Marquee Network in Chicago, so this is where some folks might get a little fired up. You got the Bears sitting at 30. This is a team that in the eyes of DraftKings, they are the favorite to have the biggest turnaround this year. Now, they went 3-14 last year, so take that for what you will. They're over/under sitting at 7.5, Frank, and you've got them at number 30.
I mean, it goes without saying that's my biggest play so far this offseason is the under on the Bears 7.5. Where do 5 more wins come from? What have they done? Look, I love DJ Moore, great receiver. They have added to their offensive line. They did not add anything really to their pass rush. They spent a ton of money on off-ball linebackers, which is a devalued position. That defense is going to be bad again without a pass rush. And for as much as Justin Fields, I like him. Like when they drafted him, liked him at Ohio State, liked him in the last half of last year when he was making highlight after highlight. Are we really sure Justin Fields is going to get there as a passer? He wasn't good last year as a passer. Now, fine. Tell me about the receivers. Tell me about the offensive line. They stunk. There's no doubt about that. But this is a team that was trying to hide Justin Fields in the game plan. They were not having him pass at all last year. I don't think you do that with a guy you totally have faith that can become a great pocket passer in the NFL. Not even a pocket passer, just a passer. He can throw on the move. You could do some things with him that way. We know he's a good runner now. But unless you believe Justin Fields is just going to take that to a Jalen Hurts third-year jump, and maybe he does, I'm not ruling it out. You're asking for 5 more wins out of this team, almost triple what they did last year in the win column. They were a 3-14 team last year. They were bad. Their defense was god-awful. I just don't see it out of the Bears this year.
Yeah,
they're probably going to be better than 30th, but I can't get them to 7.5 wins.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach here because the hard part when you do these kind of deals is if not them, then who, right? So you got to put somebody at 30. And I would say the only thing, in my opinion, that gives me optimism about Fields, he actually has the same coordinator. So we did get the offseason with Luke Getsy of, going through everything. So maybe that helps him improve. But I want to move on because I don't want to run out of time because at 29, you've completely fallen off the ledge. And at our time at Yahoo, I thought I had created like this football savant. And then you send this list in, and I'm like, see, this is what happens when Frank goes a long time without being around me. So who do you have at 29?
I got the Tennessee Titans. And I know, look, Mike Vrabel is an awesome coach. I truly think he's one of the 6-7 best coaches in the NFL. But there's a reason this team was like, yeah, we'll listen to trade offers on Tannehill and Henry. You start to look, this team might have the worst offensive line in football. They might have the worst receiver room in football. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is signing there. He might, and that helps, but it doesn't fix everything. You have an aging Ryan Tannehill. And at some point, I love Derrick Henry. He's probably my favorite back since Barry Sanders to watch. He's just awesome, right? He has led the NFL in carries 3 of the last 4 years. It would have been 4 or 4 if he didn't get hurt that 1 year. At some point, it's got to slow down for him, especially being behind a terrible offensive line. And then their defense is just okay. It's solid, but I don't see them getting many wins. I think that 7-game losing streak to finish last year, I think that was a sign of things to come. I really do. I just think this team is ready to hit the wall this year. I think Will Levis is going to be starting by midseason, and they're not going to win a game with him. I don't think he's ready whatsoever. I just think this is the year that the Titans, it just kind of all falls apart for that core, and they're just going to have to hit the reset button in the offseason.
Yeah, 23 wins in 20 and 21 under Mike Vrabel.
I know, he's great.
Tannehill in a contract year, Derrick Henry in what probably is a contract year because he'll probably be somewhere else. I would have put the Raiders here because I think that arrow is pointing down. 28, you have the Rams. 27, you have the Bucs. We only have about 40 seconds left. Which one do you want to talk about?
I think the Rams, just because I might be really high on them. You look at this team, and it could really get bad. They're going to be playing undrafted rookies in key spots this year. That roster got thin in a hurry. Couldn't put them too low because still McVay and Stafford and Kupp and Donald. But, man, everything else around the Rams points to this could be a really, really bad season, like getting the first pick of the draft bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been mad if you put the Rams at 31 because I think Stafford and McVay are like somewhere at a Starbucks. Hey, we really retired, but let's make a little more money before we announce it publicly.
Love it.
Frank, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.